that we'll be putting out more in the queue as we continue to iterate and do more moving forward. So it's time now for me to move forward, and we have a number of speakers, but I just want to conclude by thanking all of those that I just met with. Thank you again for reminding me the work we have to do. I didn't talk about the insurance market. There's so many things we can talk about today, but one thing I just want to highlight is all the outstanding leaders. I mentioned Bob Fenton. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Nancy Ward, head of the Office of Emergency Service, who's a pro. She's next level. To the 2,500 plus general, I think it was over 2,500 of your men and women, the National Guard, that were tasked for purpose, not for politics, that secured the communities. I want to thank them. I want to thank all of those that worked day in and day out, Reese Williams, other members of our team that were so foundational and important to this disaster recovery. But again, in the spirit that I began, let me end by introducing a great partner. It's about partnership. You want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. In that spirit, we have a champion of partnership who's just been extraordinary, without exception, throughout the last many months, and we count on her going forward. It is my honor to introduce Supervisor Barger. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Governor. It really is an honor to be here. Today's 6-month anniversary is an opportunity to reflect and really to look ahead. I applaud the extraordinary, and I cannot emphasize it enough, the extraordinary collaborations that have fueled our recovery progress. I want to thank our federal partners, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the incredible U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for their swift and effective work to clear more than 10,000 properties. 10,000 properties in 6 months. I express my deep, deep appreciation to Governor Gavin Newsom and his entire administration for helping our county meet recovery challenges head-on. Since day one, Governor Newsom and I shared a core commitment that I made clear. Rebuilding our communities is not and will not be the sole burden on our survivors. The state of California has been a true partner, helping our county remove unnecessary regulatory burdens, bringing resources along with funding, and quickly moving with practical, people-first solutions. I also appreciate Mayor Karen Bass's partnership. We've worked hard to lead concurrent efforts across both the Palisades and the Eaton Fire areas. I want to acknowledge my colleague, Lindsay Horvath, who represents the Palisades area impacted by these fires. As chair of the board, my responsibility is to the entire county. But I want to be clear. My heart belongs to the community of Altadena and Pasadena. I'm focused on supporting Altadena's recovery with urgency, compassion, and coordination. We have a roadmap to help us navigate the next phase of recovery for all. We're calling it LA County Forward Blueprint for Rebuilding. It's going to be available, and this is going to be something that is going to help people navigate the rebuilding effort. Our recovery plan has 6 core pillars. The first pillar is making rebuilding financially possible. The Board of Supervisors recently approved my motion to defer permit fees for homeowners rebuilding in unincorporated areas. County permit fees can often exceed $20,000, and that represents a significant obstacle for wildfire survivors. I'm confident that we'll be identifying long-term funding solutions to permanently waive these costs, but that finding is going to be on me, not on the survivors. Our blueprint's second pillar is accelerating permitting and inspections. We've launched a faster permit review, self-certification for licensed professionals, and deployed a public dashboard for transparency. With the state's partnership and resources, we are launching an AI-powered software on July 15th and are adding more staff to keep pace with the demand. This is going to be front and center for me moving forward. Our third pillar is expanding access to builders and materials. Together with state leaders and private sector partners, we're scaling up the pool of builders, promoting pre-approved designs, and working to stabilize supply chains so that no one is left waiting for a contractor or for their materials. Our fourth pillar is investing in infrastructure. Again, in coordination with the state and utilities, we're undergrounding over 150 miles of power and telecommunications lines. This is significant in the Altadena area. This is a generational investment in safety, reliability, and resilience. We've also been focusing on rebuilding for our critical utilities, including Altadena's water systems. Our Blueprint's fifth pillar is mobilizing the workforce. We're partnering with the state workforce development programs to ensure that we have trained workers ready to meet the moment. This includes logistics support, so rebuilding doesn't stall from preventable delays. Our Blueprint's sixth and final pillar is bringing back community services. We're working to restore schools, parks, businesses, services for seniors, and childcare. Everything that makes a neighborhood whole. I want to look to you, Governor, and thank you for your partnership. You have been incredible, and this is what happens when you work together and put the needs of your community first. So I want to give you a round of applause. Your leadership and that of your entire administration has been essential to making this all happen. Los Angeles County is proud to stand with you. To the residents of Altadena and surrounding regions, know this: you are front and center in my thoughts every single day. I and the federal, state, and local partners that have gathered here today are committed to delivering the support that you deserve. We are not and will not waver from this promise. Now, I would like to introduce the Deputy Mayor for the City of Los Angeles, Rachel Freeman. Welcome.
Thank you, Supervisor, and good afternoon, everyone. Due to an emerging event, unfortunately, Mayor Bass is not able to join us today, but I'll be providing some remarks on her behalf, and it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you all today. I first want to take a moment to acknowledge the devastation in Central Texas right now and the heartbreak that communities experienced after what should have been a celebratory July 4th weekend. Our hearts are with all of Central Texas right now. I think we all woke up this morning with the same thought, that it's truly hard to believe it's been 6 months since one of the worst natural disasters in state's history. And although 6 months have passed, we cannot thank our firefighters and first responders enough for their ongoing bravery and dedication. They are LA's true heroes. On behalf of Mayor Bass, I want to thank Governor Newsom, Supervisor Barger, for every step of the way they have been collaborative and collective in our approach on this recovery. And to Senator Padilla and Congresswoman Chu and Congressman Sherman for always fighting for us in Washington, and to Senate Pro Tem Mike McGuire for always fighting for us in Sacramento. Our recovery effort has been truly an all-hands-on-deck approach at every level of government. And we're here today because 6 months ago, our city was hit by a massive firestorm that brought hurricane-force winds on the heels of months of drought, devastating the Palisades and sweeping through Malibu and Altadena with catastrophic results. And in those early days in January, many wondered how we could possibly come back. But we stand here today after 6 months of resilience, 6 months of neighbors supporting neighbors, 6 months of government philanthropy, the private sector, community organizations, neighborhood councils, chambers of commerce, and the countless members of the community that have come together to care and nurture one another. They've come together to innovate and push the envelope to deliver what is on track to be the fastest disaster recovery in our state's history, the fastest hazardous materials cleanup in EPA history, and the restoration of utilities in record time. Debris removal that is months ahead of schedule, speeding up the timeline to get families back home. We have forged new partnerships to rebuild key community spaces like the Palisades Rec Center and Palisades Playground, which will reopen later this month. And with more than 640 plan check applications submitted, construction is well underway in the Palisades, and LA is moving beyond the initial emergency response firmly into the rebuilding phase. Make no mistake, the magnitude of the loss here is really earth-shattering. And losing a home is not just about losing property or a physical space. It's about security, it's about belonging, and it's about the memories and keepsakes that families will not get back. It's the place where we as a collective foster community and connection. Our hearts continue to break for every family who lost their home and for those who lost their lives. Through this process, our office has met some of the strongest families and small business owners that we have known over the course of the last few months. And we owe it to them and the rest of Angelenos to continue working around the clock to do everything in our power to rebuild as quickly and safely as possible. It's our sacred duty. Together, we've set the pace, and as you've heard today, we will continue collaborating at all levels of government until our communities are rebuilt stronger and better than they were before. The City of Los Angeles is ready for this moment, and we are LA Strong. Thank you, everyone, and I'd like to take a moment to welcome Senator Padilla up here to the stage. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I agree. It's hard to believe it's been 6 months. Los Angeles has been through a lot. Our country's been through a lot. Our communities are going through a lot. But if the teamwork of this year to date is any indicator, I know we'll continue to get through. We're going to get through, and we'll be stronger and more resilient than ever in so many ways. You hear a lot of thank yous today, and it is indicative of the partnerships that have really risen to the occasion, not just federal, state, and local agencies and all the expertise at the federal level from FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers and EPA and others that I'll talk about here in a minute, but so many state departments and agencies, county departments and agencies, city departments and agencies, and yes, even elected officials. I think a lot of times constituents can be a little cynical when they witness a lot of finger pointing on TV and nowadays through social media, but that's not what you have right now. You have embracing and people truly working together. And so in that spirit, I too want to thank the leadership, the tirelessness of Governor Gavin Newsom. And if my marriage is any indicator, I need to also acknowledge and honor the love and support and patience of first partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Our county supervisors, our mayors, not just Mayor Bass, Mayor Gordo, so many others, and like I said, the true professionals in government, proud public servants at all levels. I know many, especially at the federal level, who feel a little bit under the gun in the political climate that we're in, but are nonetheless stepping up to do the job with the professionalism that the American people deserve. Thank you, all of you. And I too want to take a moment to acknowledge what's going on in Texas right now. I think our hearts go out as Californians to the people in Texas who have suffered so much this last weekend. Those who have lost loved ones because of the flash floods, and those that are just so anxious, waiting to account for missing friends and family. It is an absolute reminder that Mother Nature does not discriminate. Natural disasters can impact any state, any region in the country, regardless of your political leanings. Californians have risen up and stood for other Californians. We've stood up for neighbors across the country time and time again. And I know we will continue to do so after this tragedy. Can't believe it's been 6 months. 6 months when we all woke up, literally from one day to the next, to the largest disaster imaginable. Won't go through the conditions that led to not just the fires, but the quickly growing fires. In talking to my colleagues in the course of the last 6 months, jaws literally drop in the halls of Congress when I describe the scale of the impact, not just the intensity, because you see the intensity of it from the images that we've all seen repeatedly over the last 6 months. But when I described to my colleagues that, yes, this was more than 3 times the size of Manhattan that was burned, it is truly unprecedented. When the fires broke out, we saw so many first responders, local law enforcement, fire department personnel, and others quickly jump to the scene. And through mutual aid, so many from throughout the state and throughout the country come to the aid of Southern California. I don't know if we'll ever be able to quantify how many lives were saved as a result, how many properties were saved as a result. And so 6 months later, we continue to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, an acknowledgement of the federal departments and agencies from FEMA to the Army Corps of Engineers and EPA for the record cleanup and recovery and assistance that the governor mentioned earlier. We're proud of the response and recognize that there's still a very long road ahead for so many families and for so many communities. And it's because of the importance of the recovery, the importance and the urgency of the need to rebuild, that I have to call out what else is happening. You see, because we're entering the next peak fire season. Fire season is not year-round in California, but peak fire season is just beginning. These fires took place in wintertime, not in the hot, dry months of summer. So our National Guard's troops have been taken away from critical preparation activity for the next peak wildfire season to do other work. 150, I understand, are coming back. We need them all to come back because they have important mission work to do. This is the time to be investing more in FEMA and empowering FEMA, not attacking FEMA or threatening to eliminate FEMA. Because the people of Texas are relying on FEMA. As we speak, we've come to appreciate FEMA even more. Again, no region of the country is immune. And this is also the time, as California has done for so long, to respect and honor the contributions of so many immigrants in our communities, because many of them work in construction. They're the construction workers that we need to continue the rebuilding process for our communities. This is absolutely not the time to threaten or terrorize construction workers and their families in our community. I say this because I'm proud to represent California. California will always answer the call to help our neighbors. And we'll figure out a way through the budget reconciliation impacts, not just in the healthcare space, but in so many other areas of the federal budget that are so critical for communities in times of disasters and in recovery from disasters. And I'll continue to fight for the communities of Pasadena, Altadena, the Palisades, and others that have been impacted this year. Now, before I turn it over to our next speaker, just a few remarks in Spanish for the Spanish language press that is here. Estamos aquí reconociendo los 6 meses que han pasado desde de los incendios enormes de este enero pasado. Hemos pasado por bien mucho como comunidad, como la región de Los Ángeles y como el país, los Estados Unidos de América. Pero el progreso en reconstruyendo, preparando nuestras comunidades para reconstruir, ha sido posible por la colaboración de tantos niveles del gobierno, tantos oficiales y tantos departamentos y agencias que saben que el compromiso número 1 es a los residentes de nuestras comunidades. Tenemos un largo camino todavía enfrente de nosotros, pero siguiendo unidos vamos a tomar esos pasos y a reconstruir no solo nuestros hogares, no solo nuestros vecindarios, pero nuestras vidas. Reconocemos el sufrimiento que está ocurriendo ahorita en el estado de Texas y los apoyaremos como sea posible. Pero reconocemos ese desastre, los desastres de enero aquí en California y otros en otras regiones del país, para recordarnos la importancia de invertir más en los departamentos y agencias que vienen a ayudarnos en momentos de desastre, no tratar de recortar los fondos como esta administración ha proponido y lo está haciendo. Es tiempo de invertir más y apoderar los profesionales del gobierno federal y estatal y local, porque bien entienden los residentes de Texas en este momento y otras regiones del país en sus momentos de crisis. Yo seguiré comprometido a asegurar los recursos necesarios vienen a nuestra comunidad para seguir no solo reconstruyendo, pero recuperando como comunidad. And with that, I want to introduce another fearless and tireless champion for this region, one of our main partners and leaders in the House of Representatives, someone who's celebrating a birthday as well, I understand, Congressmember Judy Chu.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. And thank you, Governor Newsom, for bringing us together today and for your incredibly strong and unwavering leadership over the last 6 months. The night of January 7th was one of the darkest moments our communities have ever faced. In my district, which includes Altadena and Pasadena, the Eaton fire destroyed nearly 9,500 structures, displaced over 20,000 people, and claimed the lives of 18 of our neighbors. But in that time of immense fear and uncertainty, we saw our communities come together like never before. Heroic first responders risked their lives to protect ours. Regional and national advocates and organizations, including PCC, opened up emergency food and donation banks for the many survivors who fled with only their clothes on. And the brave survivors of this wildfire showed their incredible resiliency. I heard from so many people who, despite having their own home burned down, helped their neighbors through the most trying of times. And I was so grateful for the response of our federal agencies, from the SBA Disaster Assistance Program to EPA to our U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and of course FEMA, which has been nothing short of life-saving. Since January, FEMA has delivered more than $140 million in direct federal aid to the survivors of the Eaton and Palisades fire. Thousands have received temporary housing and other life-saving services, but I'm continuing to push FEMA to use every tool available, including the direct lease program, to make to make sure that every survivor has a roof over their head as they continue to rebuild their lives. But while our communities are still picking up the pieces, President Trump has threatened to eliminate FEMA entirely, slash funding for local firefighters and emergency responders, and withhold federal aid from California. And this is why I have to say, right this minute, wildfires have no political affiliation. Disaster recovery should never be used as leverage, whether the disaster is in California, North Carolina, or Texas. I certainly will not stop fighting in Congress to fulfill Governor Newsom's request and pass a $40 billion supplemental disaster package with no strings attached. This funding is so critical to rebuilding homes, reopening businesses, and restoring our communities. This is the United States of America. We help our citizens when disaster strikes, no matter where they live or who they voted for. So to both the Palisades and Eaton Fire survivors, I say, we are still here, we are still fighting, and we will not stop until you have everything that you need to recover and rebuild. So thank you, and now I have the pleasure of introducing my amazing partner in our fire recovery efforts, Congressmember Brad Sherman.
Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from America's best named city, Sherman Oaks, and I represent the San Fernando Valley and the Pacific Palisades. I first want to acknowledge two disasters that are on our minds right now. The first are the terrible floods that afflicted Texas, and the second is the man-made disaster occurring right now in MacArthur Park. Governor, thank you so much for all you've done, starting by pre-positioning firefighting resources in Southern California before the first spark. I want to thank the Biden administration for funding FEMA and SBA back in December so that it would have the resources necessary to deal with whatever afflicted us in 2025. And as a result of that, and Biden declaring this a federal disaster area, the federal government has been able to do a fair amount. 11,000 loans totaling $3 billion at roughly 3% interest. 35,000 households receiving assistance grants totaling $150 million. $2.5 billion for debris removal, so that at least is a cost that homeowners do not have to face, and $7 billion to reimburse state and local government for firefighting and to rebuild public infrastructure. But frankly, that isn't enough to deal with the uninsured, particular businesses, but particularly homeowners. And that is why we have got to do far more. Now, President Trump came to the Palisades just hours, days after the fires. And I thought he would come out to applaud and thank FEMA, the workers who were doing 12, 15-hour shifts. Instead, he proposed abolishing FEMA, a bad idea. And then he put forward the idea that we would hold hostage the victims of the LA fires until California changed unrelated laws. Never has that happened in history, and never would Alex or Judy and I think of voting against hurricane aid because we didn't like the Louisiana abortion laws, though of course we would very much hope that those laws would change. So the basic package, which is provided for in law, is always supplemented when you have a major disaster. And AccuWeather values this disaster in terms of its economic cost at $250 billion, making it one of the largest disasters, perhaps the largest disaster in American history, certainly the largest fire disaster in American history. Yet individual homeowners are eligible to get grants of $87,000. That's good, but if you're uninsured or underinsured, it's certainly not enough to rebuild. That is why Alex and Judy and I and the entire delegation support the governor's $40 billion package, and we've got to get it passed, perhaps as a supplemental that also includes the Texas disaster and other disasters that we have faced. And I couldn't have, well, I do want to point out that we can assure the country that we're going to build back better. The new building in the Palisades will be subject to the 2008 State Fire Code. That code was so successful in the Paradise Fire that the structures there, majority of them survived if they met that code. But of course the code didn't apply to buildings built before that date. So we are going to rebuild. We are going to have great communities in Altadena and the Pacific Palisades, and we're going to build back better. And we're going to get the federal aid that California is entitled to, given the size of this disaster. And I couldn't have better allies and partners in fighting for that aid than Senator Padilla and Congresswoman Judy Chu. And the governor couldn't have a better partner than first partner Jennifer Seibel Newsom. Please come on.
Buenos días. Cuando visité a Los Ángeles durante los incendios, conocí a muchas personas que, a pesar de enfrentar tanto sufrimiento y pérdida, ayudaron a sus vecinos, como le dijo Judy, entregando comida, donando ropa, rescatando mascotas y abriendo sus casas a quienes habían perdido sus casas. Servidores públicos de todo tipo, líderes religiosos, educadores y comunidades enteras, incluyendo nuestras comunidades inmigrantes, se unieron para que nuestros hijos regresaran a las escuelas, nuestras bibliotecas abrieron y nuestros parques, negocios y carreteras volvieron a funcionar. El trabajo continúa. Y en eso ustedes continúan mostrando a cada uno de ustedes y al mundo entero lo mejor de esa comunidad. California recibe muchas críticas, pero su éxito es muy claro. El sueño californiano y esta ciudad, su latida, sigue siendo la mayor historia de éxito del mundo. California es todo eso porque apoyamos nuevas ideas y nuevas voces, no a pesar de ellos. No creemos que si ganamos, otras personas tengan que sufrir. Que si protegemos a nuestro clima o a las comunidades inmigrantes, nuestra economía fracasará. No vemos al mundo ni a nuestros vecinos como enemigos, los vemos como amigos. Somos el centro de inclusión, innovación y libertad en todo el mundo y una fuerza cultural y económica, porque nos apoyamos en nuestra creatividad y nuestras diferencias. Y siempre, siempre miramos hacia el futuro. Todavía tenemos mucho más por hacer y un largo camino por delante en la reconstrucción, pero yo sé que los californianos y los angelinos harán lo que siempre han hecho: arremangarse y mirar hacia el futuro con soleado optimismo, tratar a nuestros vecinos con amabilidad y tolerancia y seguir soñando en grande. Porque cuando nos unimos y seguimos viendo hacia el futuro, nada nos puede detener. Este es el amor de California y juntos somos la fuerza de California. So, buenos días, and I just wanted to share again briefly that visiting LA during the fires, I met with so many who, despite facing so much suffering and loss themselves, were out helping their neighbors, delivering food, donating clothes, rescuing pets, opening their homes to those who had lost theirs. Public servants of all kinds, faith-based leaders, educators, entire communities, including our immigrant community, came together to get our kids back to school, open our libraries, get our parks and businesses and roads back up and running. The work obviously continues, and in it, you keep showing us and each other and the world the very best of us. As we continue to face more and more climate-related disasters like these devastating fires and the flooding tragedy this past weekend in Texas, it is more important than ever that we build resilience in our communities. There are a lot of critiques aimed at California, but it's hard to argue with success. The California dream and this city, its heartbeat, is still the world's greatest single success story. California, let's not forget, is the fourth largest economy in the world, home to the most beautiful coastlines, mountains, and public lands on the planet. The center of the world's creative and innovation-based economies, from Hollywood to Silicon Valley and Silicon Beach just here in LA. The state with the most educated, diverse workforce due to our top public universities, the #1 manufacturing state in the United States, the 5th largest producer of agriculture in the world, the largest in the country, the birthplace of the environmental movement, having led the charge for clean air and water, healthier foods, and organic farming. California is all these things because we embrace new ideas and new voices, not in spite of them. We're the opposite of zero-sum thinking that seems to have taken over some leaders in Washington, D.C. We don't think that if we gain, someone else must lose, that if we protect our climate or immigrant communities, our economy will fail. No, we don't look at the world or our neighbors as our enemies. We look to them as our friends. We are a beacon of inclusion, innovation, and freedom around the world, and a cultural and economic powerhouse. Because we lean into our creativity and our differences. And let's not forget, we always, always look to the future. We still have so much work to do and a long road ahead of rebuilding. But I know that California and Angelinos will do what they've always done. They'll roll up their sleeves and look forward with sunny optimism to the future. They'll treat their neighbors with kindness and tolerance, and they'll continue to dream big. Because when we come together like this and we keep looking to the future, nothing will stop us. This is California love, and together we remain California strong. Thank you.
for our guests here in the room. If you could stay near your seats while our friends in the media exit to my right, out this door once they came in. Let's let the cameras get out of the room first.